Summarize the novel. The Plague. Author, Albert Camus. Chapter 1, Setting and the Onset of the Plague. The plague begins in Oran, a coastal city in Algeria during the 1940s, where life unfolds in a monotonous, pragmatic rhythm, devoid of romance. The residents live mechanically, working and resting without pondering deeper meaning, under a gray, cloud-heavy sky. A strange unease creeps in, as if shadows are lurking, poised to engulf this tranquil port city in silence. The narrator, later revealed as Dr. Bernard Rieux, describes an ordinary day shattered when hundreds of rats begin dying across the city, in homes, on streets, in dark alleys, with cloudy eyes and blood oozing from their mouths. People grumble about the nuisance, sweeping them aside, unaware of the looming peril. Whispers spread, carrying a vague sense of dread through the quiet streets. Rieux, living with his elderly mother in a modest apartment and devoted to his medical calling, grows alarmed when the building's caretaker, Mr. Michel, falls ill. Michel suffers a raging fever, swollen glands in his neck and groin, and writhes in intense pain before dying with a purpled body. Rieux recognizes these as classic signs of the plague, a disease thought erased from the modern world, now rising like a chilling curse. He urgently warns the authorities, rushing through empty streets, heart pounding at the thought of an impending disaster, but they hesitate, fearing panic and economic ruin in this bustling port. Meanwhile, cases multiply rapidly, from a few isolated deaths to dozens daily, bodies turning black, blood spilling from mouths, moans echoing in the night. Rieux braces himself for a long battle, suspense gripping him as the storm nears. Oran is sealed off as the authorities can no longer deny the outbreak, gates shut tight, ships halt, communication with the outside world severed. The populace shifts from indifference to panic, church bells tolling incessantly, the air thick with foreboding like the eve of doom. Rieux meets Thiroux, a mysterious note-taker, and Rambert, a stranded Parisian journalist, both soon to face the nightmare. Cottard emerges, oddly pleased by the chaos. Chapter 2, The Plague rages and isolation sets in. The plague spread swiftly, turning Oran into a city of death, claiming hundreds daily, overwhelming hospitals, and forcing hasty burials in mass graves. Wails pierce the air, a faint stench lingers, darkening the sky further. The authorities enforce strict isolation, banning gatherings and sealing public spaces, transforming Oran into a vast, inescapable prison as tension mounts. Rieux works tirelessly, racing from house to house, facing horrors, children gasping their last breaths with sunken eyes, parents sobbing over cold bodies, doctors and nurses exhausted with no cure. He fights to stay calm, but each scream cuts like a blade, his heart racing with dread, wondering when this nightmare might end, or if it ever will. Thiroux's meticulous journal captures the chaos, fleeing residents stopped at checkpoints, profiteers peddling fake cures at exorbitant prices, fear seeping into every corner like a shadow. Rambert, desperate to return to his lover in Paris, contacts smugglers, but each failed plan quickens his pulse, dragging him deeper into despair as escape slips away. Panelix preaches in a crowded church, his voice booming that the plague is divine retribution for human sins, urging repentance. His words spark debate, some kneel in prayer, lighting candles, while others rage against his harsh verdict, the air crackling with unease. Cottard, meanwhile, blends in oddly, thriving in the turmoil, profiting from the black market with a sly grin. Streets fall silent, shops shutter, mail ceases, residents trapped in their homes, awaiting death's knock at any moment. The wind howls through cracks, whispering doom, amplifying their terror. Rieux, though drained physically and mentally, presses on, believing his duty as a doctor is to resist death, a fragile spark amid the encroaching darkness. Chapter 3, The Plague's Peak and Human Responses. The plague peaks, claiming hundreds daily, bodies piling up like a grim monument, the stench of decay choking the air. Death becomes so routine that tears dry up, the atmosphere thick with dread as if the city teeters on collapse. Rieux watches a child die in agony, body convulsing, blood spilling from his mouth, his heart pounding, fear of helplessness surging within him. Thiroux, who despises all forms of violence, joins Rieux to form a volunteer sanitation team, clearing corpses and tending patients amid ceaseless moans. His compassion shines, yet his eyes flicker with unease, sensing death's shadow drawing closer. Rambert, after failed escapes, stays to help, heart racing as he confronts the inescapable danger alongside Rieux. Panelix, shaken by the child's death, shifts his stance. No longer a punishment, the plague is a test for unity and mercy. He falls ill soon after, refusing treatment, and dies alone, leaving Rieux tense, pondering if faith can withstand such horror. Cottard prospers in the chaos, his sly smirk growing as he profits from illicit trade, a stark contrast to the suffering around him. Some residents rebel, they torch homes to repel the disease, loot to survive, or rush barricades only to fall under gunfire echoing in the night. The screams and smoke heighten the city's tension, as if it might erupt. The plague strips bare human nature, selfishness, terror, yet also courage glowing faintly amid the gloom. Rieux, rejecting divine salvation, fights on relentlessly, pulse quickening with each new case, unsure if he can outlast the spreading evil. He stands at the edge of life and death, suspense gripping him as he wonders how long he can endure this relentless nightmare unfolding around him. Chapter 4, The Plague Wanes and Lessons Learned. After months of devastation, the plague mysteriously weakens, deaths dwindle, and patients recover, igniting faint hope in Oran's weary souls. The tolling bells slow, the air lightens, yet Rieux remains cautious, heart pounding at the thought of its return. Rieux, his steadfast ally, contracts the disease in its final days and dies after a brief struggle, leaving Rieux reeling from the sudden loss. Rambert, abandoning escape plans, stays to see Oran's gates reopen. People flood the streets, embracing through tears, laughter mingling with sobs in a city long silenced. Rieux reunites with his mother, a quiet pillar through the dark days, but learns his wife has passed at a distant hospital, his chest tightening with unspoken grief and growing isolation. Oran emerges from the plague, scarred by thousands of deaths, broken families, and shaken faith. The wind whispers through empty streets, a chilling reminder of the terror endured, keeping Rieux on edge despite the calm. He finds no ultimate answers to the pain, only a conviction that resisting evil is humanity's sole dignity. Reflecting on those months, Rieux's pulse races recalling each patient he couldn't save. He sees life's worth not in grand ideals, but in persistence and kindness amid darkness. To Rieux's compassion, Rambert's transformation from selfishness to solidarity, these are the fragile lights that endured, lessons etched in his memory. The plague leaves a harsh truth: life is fragile, evil lurks ever near, yet humanity must rise. Rieux gazes at the reviving city, suspense lingering as he imagines the next outbreak, but a quiet resolve stirs within, to keep fighting, to hold on to that fleeting spark of humanity no matter the cost. Chapter 5, Conclusion and Philosophical Meaning. Rieux stands on a rooftop, watching Oran celebrate freedom, yet his heart races knowing the plague merely slumbers, poised to strike again. The joyous cries below feel fragile, a thin veil over the dread he senses lurking beneath. He writes this tale not for glory, but to honor the quiet strength of ordinary people facing calamity. Rieux embodies relentless defiance and humanity in darkness. Rieux seeks peace, opposing all violence. Rambert shifts from personal longing to communal unity, each step tense with danger. Panelix finds mercy through faith, while Cottard thrives in chaos, a lone figure grinning amid the storm. Each reveals a facet of human response to suffering. The plague symbolizes greater evils, war, oppression, the perils haunting mankind. Camus offers no escape, only a question: how to live in an absurd world. Rieux's heart quickens as he ponders, to fight, not for eternal hope, but to live worthily of our humanity, a choice born of necessity. The story closes with a philosophical echo: amid the plague's shadow, kindness flickers like a fragile flame in a tempest. Rieux watches the city, suspense tightening his chest as he envisions the plague's return, yet he believes people will rise again. It's their inner resilience, not victory, that defines them. Camus leaves an open query: if evil persists, what then? Rieux chooses action, not for grand salvation, but because each heartbeat offers a chance to resist. In Oran's fragile dawn, he sees humanity's quiet power, to defy darkness, to endure, a thrilling defiance against an uncertain fate.